Hello. Oh my God. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Hi, Jax. Love you. How are you ready? So I tell you what, I don't know if you've seen, but there was this video I've made, which I'll tell you what it was because I might not remember myself. Wait. Oh, is the UK civil war imminent? And there somebody said the following. Insulting Islam is not freedom of speech. Why can't you understand this? Is it just too difficult for you? Like, let me read it again because like he wrote it differently and I pinned the comment by now I think it's unpinned. But then I was like, I saw this comment and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna judge. I'm gonna let the people judge. I'm gonna put him on a pedestal and let you all say what you think. I think he got like 20 something likes maybe. So there are people who agreed with him that insulting Islam is not freedom of speech. So you guys, I'm gonna enter the Discord now as well. And I'm going to stage. Right, so. And you're welcome to join. Are you all on Discord, by the way? If you guys want to talk, debate. And also I thought about that. Is it okay to call for a civil war, for example? Do you think it is part of free speech to say, hey, we are in a civil war? Or is it something that is a taboo? So anything of that sort is welcome to discuss. So I'm just waiting on the stage for you all to join me. I'm still new with Discord, so please forgive. I am all alone, all by myself. Let me show you the actual. I wanna open up. Hi, Steven. I can see you're in the audience. Do you guys have the link? Do you need the link? You can. Oh, you guys haven't. You all did not do your homework. Wait, I wanna say. By the way, like, comment, subscribe. You guys do your homework and share my videos. It really helps. And Dixie62, welcome to the Rebecca's Bosses Club. So, yes. Anyway, it's okay if you guys don't want to talk to me. I'll talk to myself. Oh, Jax, you're so sweet. Yes. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Okay. Let me find the beautiful, beautiful comment and read it properly because I really feel like I didn't give it the proper respect the way I pronounced it. So, let me see if I can find it. It's amazing to me, even though he got so many comments, once I moved it out of the pin, I guess it's like it got marked as something that people are unhappy with. So it's not, it doesn't show in the top comments. It's just, I have to look for it. Oh well, YouTube. So I want to give the proper honor. I see. Oh, here's the speech request. 1 sec, I'm gonna let you people speak. When I find it, no, this is. Ah, well, you get the gist. Insulting Islam is not freedom of speech. Why can you not understand this? Is it just too difficult for you? And he got 136 comments. Really, the way they wrote it, it was like poetry. Yeah, and I didn't even insult Islam. I don't know what he was he's even talking about there. I don't remember insulting Islam. How is this sound? Good? All right, I'm gonna. Mhm. Invite to speak. What? One sec. Let me. Hello. All right. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was muted. Hello?
How are you doing? Can
I'm
you
doing
all
good.
hear him?
How are you? How are you?
Good, good. I was just, people were asking when are you gonna do another Discord chit chat? When is gonna? I was like, here is it for you. But here I am, you see, and I'm like, where is everybody? You guys.
I think people are kind of speaking live is kind of like nerve-wracking sometimes.
It is.
So I don't know what yeah.
Like, I don't know
But
if you noticed it.
yeah,
I mean, I saw you had like this very long comment on my Zionism video. Like, I felt back then when I made this video, I was so awkward. I don't know how you guys survived watching through it, but thank you.
it doesn't matter how awkward you are because it's like we're learning something because we don't it will we will pay more attention to how awkward you are if we weren't if it wasn't new information. At least that's my perspective.
Right.
It's like,
I
oh, I'm
think.
learning something. It's a novel experience. I'm learning about the history of Israel. It doesn't really matter how good the speaker is if you're learning something new. If it was something that I already knew, I'll be like, this person delivery sucks. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'll focus more on the
Mm-hmm.
delivery.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
feel
just my
like
opinion.
it's surprising that a lot of the information I bring, that it's nowhere. Like,
No,
almost, right?
um,
Or is it just is it? I mean, it's not nowhere. Otherwise, I wouldn't have not have known it. But still,
it's not common in the West. At least in the South, it's not common.
well, I don't know
Um,
why. Yeah. Well, of course, it wouldn't be
I,
common. I don't know if even Israelis know those things. It's like when
yeah, I mean,
I remember going through it in school. I didn't understand why I have to learn all this boredom.
in the in my opinion, um, the it with the people of Jewish ancestry that I've met, I've had a couple of friends, coworkers who are Jewish. They
Mm-hmm.
are they're defensive. They don't share the ones I've met. I'm not talking about all in the West, in America, in Florida. I'm talking about some. They're defensive Jews. So like they'll like one guy's last name was Rothschild, right? So there's all this propaganda about the Rothschild family in America.
Right.
So he's automatically defensive about his last name. He's defensive about being Jewish or having Jewish ancestry, and it's sort of like it comes off like he's defending himself from hate and persecution that I don't understand. I don't understand why he's doing that because I don't know the history of his people or his family or anything like that, but because of his experience or the experience of his family, I don't know why, but he's defensive. I remember I even brought him a book. It was a fictional novel. It was about monsters and goblins, and the cover was a goblin. And he's like, I showed him the book I was reading, and he's like, "Oh my god, they're depicting Jews. This is the Jew on the cover." I'm like, "Bro, calm down.
I
It's a
waited.
fictional
I
novel,
waited for it. It's like
huh?"
I waited for it.
You knew what I was
It's
gonna
like,
say, though. You knew what I was gonna
yeah,
say.
because I heard it with the goblins at Hogwarts, right? At the
Yeah.
Gringotts,
So
Harry
that's the first
fictional.
time I even associated that Jewish people were some kind of associated with goblins, and the nose of a goblin is supposed to be depicting a Jew. I was like, this is just a fictional. This is this fictional creature. What are you talking about? He's like, that's a racist. That's a racist book cover. And then I'm like, he's like looking at the author, his name. It's like, oh, this must be racist. I was like, it doesn't make sense to me. But do you want to circle back to the topic at hand, or
Yes,
we can talk
yes,
freely?
please. Talk. Yeah, no, talk. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
let's.
I like my main thing is understanding. Like I try to understand both sides, right? So I'm gonna try to speak. I'm not Muslim, but I looked up like I was researching it and trying to get a figure on like why would you feel the way that you do about freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And there's videos in the info section on the Discord about freedom of speech versus freedom of religion, and do they conflict? And I was researching the five pillars of Islam, and there's this the basics, the basis of their faith. Like
Do you remember
I'm
it?
gonna mispronounce.
Do
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna
want a
mispronounce this.
quiz? A quick quiz?
Yeah, it's the first tenet is I think it's called Shahada. I'm
Yeah.
not super I'm not super good with the pronunciation,
Do you know what's
but
the
it's
Shahada?
it's basically from what I read is like it's like super monotheism. It's
It's
like
the declaration
monotheism.
of faith.
Yes, it's a declaration of faith, but when I was looking up, okay, what does that mean?
It's
It's like they
super
need.
monotheism. If it were super monotheistic, they wouldn't have mentioned Muhammad in the same sentence.
That's true. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? And it's like they're non-dualistic, they're non-dualist, or they're non-dualism. I was like, okay, so they believe in Allah, they believe in one God, got it. But then who's Muhammad and but I was like, look, let's just put that aside for a second. How does freedom of speech contradict their freedom of religion? And I was like, let me try to argue from a Muslim point of view. So here's my thesis, and it's not gonna be long. It's gonna be short. My thesis is that it's like they feel that freedom of speech is blasphemy because no one can speak against the Quran or because the Quran is the divine word through which Allah gave to Muhammad to spread to the people. So anybody who speaks against the Quran is guilty of blasphemy. That's step one. Step two is if you also believe in the hadiths, you feel as if you can interpret the hadiths to mean that we can punish blasphemous women with imprisonment or torture until they repent. And we can kill men who either turn away from Muhammad, speak against Muhammad, and turn away into apostasy. We can kill them as long as we have a Muslim majority, of course. We can kill them, or if they're unbelievers, force them to convert or die, kind of thing. And that, from the perspective of a religious zealot, it makes sense. Freedom of speech equals blasphemy. Therefore, as a zealot Muslim person, I'm to act upon my faith, my freedom of religion, and and either convert you or kill you. And that's how I see it. But I'm not a Muslim, of course. Any Muslim can say and correct me. But this is just basic reading, basic understanding of monotheistic beliefs, the Shahada, and their blasphemy laws. But I I don't know much.
Right. So that okay. But is insulting
That's how
it? So are you
go
saying
ahead.
they're not compatible, or that, or do you think that a Muslim person would understand freedom of speech but would not understand how it's related to insulting or criticizing Islam?
There, it, in Islam, as far as I understand it, is you can say whatever you want, but you cannot say anything against the Prophet Muhammad, and you cannot divide God, Allah, in any way. So the way I understood the strict non-dualism is like you can't attribute any other gods to Allah. Like there's no Trinity. You can't divide Allah into different parts. And at some level, it's almost like you can't write anything, you can't add anything to the Quran, you can't add anything to the hadiths because this is blasphemy, this is apostasy. But you also can't draw Muhammad. That will also include media. You're creating media about the prophet by just drawing him, creates this media, this apostasy or blasphemy against the prophet. So drawing Muhammad, writing additional hadiths or additional parts of the Quran is also blasphemy. And even you speaking on what Muhammad believes, like you as a non-Muslim trying to interpret the Quran, is almost also considered dividing God or attributing other things to Allah. So freedom of speech that contradicts freedom of religion. Well, no, it doesn't contradict freedom of speech doesn't contradict freedom of religion, but Islam contradicts freedom of speech anytime the Quran or the Hadiths are mentioned. If you don't mention the Quran or Hadiths, they are fine. They're compatible as long as you don't criticize the the central tenets of Islam, which is God cannot be divided into these parts. God cannot be written on paper. God cannot be possessed by paper or pen. You can't add anything because there's this concept of blasphemy also in the Christian Bible where you can't add anything or subtract anything from the Bible. This is like blasphemy, right? This is almost like you're trying to
Can,
turn
can,
God.
do you have knowledge about Christianity?
Yeah, I grew up Christian for
So
about
when you say
22 years.
Bible, what do you mean?
I mean the Septuagint basically. And
No, because
obviously,
you
obviously it
do
was.
not.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but you do not add or subtract. It's something that also Jesus said, but he referred to his Bible, not your Bible. I'm sorry to put it like that, but you know what I mean?
You mean
So
the New
when you say
Testament?
Bible, what do you mean? Yeah, the New Testament
Yeah.
wasn't there when Jesus said that sentence.
Right. So the way Christians learn the scriptures, they don't learn it as Old Testament and New Testament. It's because like the scriptures are kind of
Right.
quoted in a way that's referencing the whole Bible. So the way I learned it was like the wrong way. In the beginning, it was almost like selective. They selectively use scriptures to fit a narrative kind of thing. But it's not the
Everybody
scriptures that are
does that.
wrong.
That's
It's
normal.
it's not it's not the scriptures that are wrong. It's the narrative that's wrong, or how people choose to interpret what the scriptures mean and how people should act around it.
Yeah, but that's
But I'm
also
I'm just saying there's a
human
I'm just
nature.
yeah. What I'm bringing up is there's a similar concept in Christianity that the holy book, the Bible, should not be changed or um, added to or subtracted from, even though clearly there's a lot of evidence that the early Romans did that.
Again,
But
can you
that's
repeat
another. Oh,
the
there's a
last?
there's a lot of evidence that the Romans did a lot of subtractions and additions to the Bible. But that's not relevant to the conversation today. Conversation today is about
Oh,
is
yeah. I just
Islam
said
is
about the
Islam.
narrative. I just said like
Yeah,
it's human nature to do that. It's like you always do it. Like no matter like this is I think should be taken as for granted that no matter what, it will always be with the narrative. Just like you said that you showed your friend a goblin and it was like, oh no, that's an anti-Semitic trope. Like and then you both see the same goblins. People have a tendency to always put narrative in, knowingly or unknowingly. So I think that's normal.
yeah,
Right.
I agree.
So how would you differentiate between what is allowed in Christianity when it comes to the freedom of speech versus what do you think Islam is? forcing
Well,
us to believe is afraid, like?
that's a great question. Christianity. What? Could you repeat the question? I don't think I quite understand what you're asking.
Mhm. I said that how do you think the Christian compatibility is with freedom of speech? That's what I want to know.
Got it. Got it. So, as far as freedom of speech and Christianity, and are they compatible?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're compatible because they're the main t- the main tenets of freedom of speech is basically debate. It's public debate, and it's public debate about right and wrong, good and evil, and it allows the criticism of it allows the critique, criticism, and questioning of the basic tenets of faith. And that's how you evangelize. That's the basic way in which you convert individuals to your faith. You can't if you have to start with you have to convince people to join. You can't you can't pull a sword on somebody. Jesus didn't pull a sword on anybody and say, "Join me." He went out with it. He recruited his disciples. He's like, let me show you by my actions and by my works, and I'm going to recruit these guys to be my followers. It's it's completely compatible because it's about convincing other people to follow you. It's a freedom of speech is essential to Christianity in that way. And
So,
the way even in the way post Jesus, in the way the disciples grew the church, it was by recruiting other people, spreading the message throughout the land, and a lot of people were convinced to join.
okay. What about criticizing Jesus? Is it possible?
Of course, that's questioning Jesus is on the path to accepting him. Not that I'm promoting one way or another, but you can't accept that you believe in Jesus if you never questioned you. If you don't um, question your relationship with someone, you can never be in a relationship with someone. Um, it's almost like meeting somebody and introducing them, going through the relationship phase. You question the steps. You question, are they compatible with you? Are they compatible with your beliefs? Are their actions reflective of somebody that you want a relationship with? It's the same thing. It's a open conversation with the other person, just like any other relationship, except for your parents and your immediate family. All other relationships are voluntary, so you have to question them and their validity and their value in your life. And that's why freedom of speech is super compatible with Christianity. It's
Yeah.
basically comes out of Christianity. It doesn't come. That's not. It's like it's not like Jesus Christ was like the First Amendment. It's going to be this, but it comes out of a belief um that everybody should be able to evangelize and convince others to join a religion, and you shouldn't be able to persecute somebody for the religion.
Mm.
Obviously, the Pilgrims in America were thinking this, like, we don't want to be discriminated against, because we want to be able to evangelize in the new world. There's a lot of people in the new world who need God and never were introduced, and this is our divine duty
Yeah.
to spread God's
So
message, kind of thing.
I see. So you're saying freedom of speech is compatible with Christianity, but not Islam. Well, thank you. I'm gonna let you go now if it's okay. I want to invite another person, but before I do, I want to give a little bit of an update because I've been seeing that there have been we're back with the action with the Lebanon. It seems like they've been sending drones right now to the north there are fires, and Israel has been attacking back. So it seems like there is some action happening in the north. So I guess it's just back and forth. And I want to also, I saw that there is this title that there is a chance that the BRICS, the Palestine, fake country called Palestine, will join the BRICS. I'm not sure what's that about, but yeah. And by the way, the IDF is saying that 90% of the launches that of Hezbollah are from from population, like from population centers. So 90% of the launches right now came from population centers. Fun stuff. All right. Okay, everybody is asking me to bring Adam. So Adam, please join the stage. I actually, I'd love if you could introduce yourself, because it seems like you're kind of famous. So can you please tell us who you are?
Thank you, Rebecca, for inviting me. Appreciate it. Um, yeah, famous, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I'm an ex-Muslim from Pakistan, um,
Mm,
and I have a couple of YouTube channels. One is Adam Seeker, as you can see my name, that's my English channel, and then I have an Urdu channel, which is Indian Pakistani Hindi channel, that's called Adam Seeker Urdu. So yeah, I've been doing some of these things where I'm exposing the truth and the reality of Islam from the within the text, because I've lived most of my life as a Muslim in Pakistan. So when I saw this insulting Islam isn't freedom of speech, I was
mm-hmm.
like, oh, what's happening? I hope this is a sarcastic kind of a title. So I joined in, and then I saw some people who knew me in the live chat, and we started discussing. So I don't even know about you. It just happened. I had time. I looked at it. I clicked it, and I'm here. So how are you? Maybe you can tell
Good.
me about yourself a little bit as well.
All right. So I'm Rebecca. I'm from Israel. I'm a Jewish person. I'm a Jew. So I've been making, I had this channel for a while now, since an operation in Gaza, where I saw people started saying some weird things. I made some reaction videos and then I let it go. But then I came back full scale, full force after October 7th, realizing that our voices are not being heard, and that there aren't enough people who are speaking in the behalf of the, I would say, Jewish ideology. So,
I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you. And I've done a couple of streams on Israel and Israel in Quran and Israel in Islam and all of these. And I've shown the history going all the way back to Genesis, then Exodus, and then the kings and Samuel, because that these are the parts and numbers, these are the parts which are in Quran as well and the Hadith as well. So I've shown all the references where this land was given to the Bani Israel, that are the children of Israel, which is the grandson of Abraham. So in essence, I've shown that this land was always for the Bani Israel, the children of Israel, and that's why the name is Israel and all that. So then I went all the way to 1947 and shown all of the references how the Jewish population in Israel was always persecuted, even though that I'm not a Jew. I'm just looking at it from the historical perspective and the perspective which Islam actually acknowledges and accepts. Yet they are the ones who are claiming to be the victims, which is unbelievably false. And quite frankly, I'd say the people of Israel are not doing publicity enough, because Muslims are doing all the publicity stunts in the entire world, and you guys are not doing enough. You are not raising the voice enough. So I think partially I would blame you not to do what they are doing. But in fact, I would also say that you guys are the ones who are truly persecuted, whereas they are actually claiming to be persecuted. So that's how I look at it. So I will not have any debate on this topic. Rather, I would say you are doing an awesome job, and I would
thank you.
like thousands of you to come out and do what you are doing.
I wish it was possible. People here are not, it's not that easy. A lot of people don't want to because it's mentally hard for them. and like a lot of it is like they mentally feel like they cannot do it. Even just listening to it just is hard for a lot of people. So I've been trying to convince people, but a lot of say like we cannot. Even when I speak, right? Even when I talk about it, people a lot of times are like, we cannot handle it. We cannot do it. We just like, we live every day and we don't want to think. Otherwise, it's too hard. But I also want to say, when it comes to being persecuted, I feel like I kind of disagree with you, because I feel like there is no more, there ain't a more fierce kind of persecutor than the voices in your head, which is which is
Voices.
self-inflicted when it comes to Islam, I think.
Okay, yeah. Now, if we go vices in itself when it comes to Islam, that's a very strange kind of a statement that you have given. Can you please elaborate it?
Okay, so you said you're from Pakistan, right?
Yes, I have. I'm from Pakistan.
Are you still there?
And if I would have been there, I would have been killed already. There are 7 Islamic Pakistani acts that are upon me. There are a couple of protests that happen that they want to find me and capture me and put me in jail. There is like 295C, 295B, 420, and couple of other acts on me in which I should be killed, hanged till that. And by the way, before they could hang me till that, they will kill me before they could even take me to court. So what I'm doing, I have done debates online. I've done debates in Indian TV channels as well with different muftis and maulanas where I have exposed their hypocrisy. I've done in Sudarshan TV, News Nation. There are a couple of YouTube channels that I go and do debate. I am on TikTok as well, doing debates with the Muslims as well. So the thing that I exposes about Islam, um, according to Islamic Sharia, in any Muslim country, they'll kill me. Full stop. There is no questions about it.
All right. So, but that I, as a person, can say whatever I want.
As
So,
a person, you can say whatever you want. Yes, that is true.
and I know that my family will protect me no matter what.
Correct.
So, who is more persecuted? There are
The
Jewish
Muslims who believe
families
Islam.
that are like that, but they're like cults. So,
So
yeah.
let me use this word. There are always exceptions in
Yeah. Yeah. I
any
feel
theology and ideology.
I feel like Jews don't get it. I'll be honest. I feel they don't, like I saw a lot of people, like I grew up Hasidic. I grew up and I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. But that is because your family went against the principles of Judaism, not because they followed it, which is different. It's like, okay, there are cults inside of Judaism and there are Hasidics that say this and that, but is it justified? Not really. And because a lot of Jews understand that those things exist, a lot of them struggle to understand that what's the difference between Jews who select all the Muslim like. So we call them Muslims sometimes, okay? I'll be honest. We just call them. We have two ways to say it. Like if you have mainstream, we call some sects, we call them Christians, and some sects are Muslims. It's
Absolutely, I fully agree with you.
but not because they believe in anything that is Islamic or Christianity the way people imagine, right? It's because they have the same mentality, the same kind of thinking,
The
where
same mindset, and
same
I
mindset.
absolutely agree. Yeah.
And I think a lot of Jews do not understand that just because there are Jews who choose to be Islamic like, that doesn't make Judaism and Islam the same, and that doesn't mean that a Muslim person can do the same thing a Jewish person can. So Muslims cannot do what Jews can do, in a sense that identifying as a Jew is not the same as identifying as a Muslim, because you cannot, like, I cannot see a way where you can be real Muslim without being Islamic. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I totally get it. Like, you started by saying your family, and that's where I would say that if a Muslim leaves Islam, if a family still keeps him in, then they were never a Muslim. That's how easy it is to say that. Because this goes all the way to Quran itself. That Quran says even if your parents leave this religion, leaves Islam, leaves the religion of Allah, you are not supposed to be with them. That you are not supposed to love them even. That is Quran chapter number 58, verse number 22, and Quran chapter number 9, verse number 23 and 24. So even your friends, your parents, and now Islam in Quran, it doesn't talks about the children, because in fact they, at that particular time when children were under the influence of parents, Quran or Muhammad never thought children will leave Islam. In the other way around. So they were always talking about, parents are not accepting Islam. So Quran is talking in the reverse order. And hence it is true, because from the hadith of Muhammad, which is in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim as well, and it clearly says, if you do not keep, you have to keep Muhammad over and above your wealth, your family, your children, your parents, and everything. If you don't keep Muhammad, love for Muhammad over each and everything in your life, you are never a Muslim. So you are hypocrite. And according to Islam, munafiqeen are going to be the fuel of the hellfire. They'll be on the seventh level of hell, under which they will never be able to come out. So hell
Amazing.
in Islam has 7 levels, by the way.
I wonder if there is something similar. I think there are also 7 levels somewhere. Okay, so the thing with Judaism is that it likes exploring ideas and then teaching them. So one of them was hell and heaven. So for some time, these Jews thought of every possible way hell and heaven can exist or not exist, and then forgot about it, but it's written somewhere. But because there are a lot of things in the hadith and the Quran that are like segments from the Talmud or the Midrash, and you look at them and you're like, why did they
Absolutely.
choose this random side? Like, somebody like flipped on the banana this morning and he was in a bad mood. Why did you choose to quote that?
I did a stream 2 years ago, where I showed Islam and Talmud, Midrash, and oh, I forgot the name. Sahindran. So I
Sandra,
showed
yeah.
Islamic hadiths and Quranic verses from these three sources, which are not even biblical sources, which are not, these are extra biblical sources. Means they are
Which
not
ones?
the Talmud. The Talmud
Yeah,
is and
yes,
Midrash.
yeah.
So these are extra sources. So Quran and Hadith actually totally took them into, as is kind of a way, into its theology, which is really strange, because Muhammad acknowledged that these are the words of his own God, Allah, supposed God Allah, whom I call a Satan, by the way. I'm all up into freedom of speech. Let me know if there is any red line in your freedom of speech. Let me know, and I'll stop over there.
Absolutely. My only red line is one that would get me persecuted by YouTube. Still need to leave.
If my channels are still intact, then yours should be, ideally speaking. But let me know wherever your red line is, and I'll stop. So
No, I
according
don't
to
have
me,
one. I also think that, I don't know, I feel like different places have different treatments. Maybe it's just a gist. I just feel like as an Israeli, I can say more than others. Does it make sense? I
for
don't know
me, it
if it makes
does.
sense. Especially
Yeah.
in
So
Hebrew, you can say whoa. Like I sometimes wish I could show like videos in Hebrew and like translate what people are saying, just because I know like I would, like, you would never hear anything like that in English almost.
That's similar for Islam, and I will tell you that there are a lot of data that is there in Arabic and in
Yeah,
Urdu, which you will never be able to see in English. They don't even translate it. For example, Tafsir al-Tabari, they never translated it.
right.
Tafsir al-Qurtubi, it's like partially translated in English, rest is in Urdu and in Arabic. Even Ibn Kasir, if you look at it, le- they are they are selectively translating certain stuff of Ibn Kasir into English, and that's it. So when I see the difference in Arabic, there will be like 6 pages. In English, there will be like two. What about the rest of the 4 pages of these verses of the tafsir? So they don't even translate the whole tafsir, which is the interpretation of those Quranic verses, and it's just so unbelievable. Long time ago, I did a stream where I showed an Urdu Ibn Kasir,
Wait,
and
can I pause you
and
for a second?
yes,
Because
please,
I
yes,
think I think last we talked about things that are from the Talmud and the Quran. I just want to give an example just for people who didn't hear it before. I think the most famous one is those who kill a soul. It's as if they kill the whole world.
yeah, whole humanity. Yep, that's Talmudic.
Yeah. So that's I think something that you found that was from the Talmud originally that you thought was cool. Just for
Oh,
fun,
I
and then we
will.
can go back to the
I
next
have.
topic because
I
I'm just
haven't done
curious.
that stream for a very long time. It's not in my head, but I can send you the link of the YouTube video that I made, and you will be amazed, and you can have a lot of data on that from there.
Yeah, I want to see. Okay, I would love to see that actually. I know, for example, in that in the Habel and Habel, Hevel and Cain, like the story of them fighting.
That's in Quran. Story of Moses is in Quran, but that's a
Yeah, but
different
do you
Moses,
know that
FYI.
there is in the
Um,
Quran there is a crow that shows up, and then Cain buries Habel. You know that crow?
can you please repeat? Crow? Crow, yes,
Crow.
that's the interpretation. Yeah, that's one of the Quranic verses that Crow actually showed him how to dig it and
Yeah.
dig the grave, kind of. Yeah,
You know where the crow is from?
Talmud, right?
I think it's a midrash, actually.
Midrash.
Yeah. You
It's
know
crazy
why?
how many things
You
they
know
actually
what
take in it.
the you know why it's so random. So some rabbi was like, wait, if they're the first people in the world and then it was the first person who died. So and then there is a verse that says that the blood of Abel is calling to God from the earth. So one rabbi was like, wait, how did they know what to do with the body? So they made up, so he was like, so maybe there was a crow, and crows are bury, apparently. And the Cain watched the crow, and he was like, oh, I will do like the crow is doing, like they buried the dead. And they buried, and that's the explanation.
And supposedly this is from Allah.
And
So
this
you can
and
see
that
how false this
and
God
that
is
and
then.
that random like this is just somebody's like exploring, like maybe I saw a crow do it. Like how would a person that never seen death before know what to do? Like how did they know to bury the body? And then it was like maybe they saw a crow. I've seen a crow once, they do it too, so maybe they learned from observing nature. It's like random, super random. It's like this entered the Quran.
And and this is unbelievable. And at the same time, the story of the seven sleepers of Ephesus, which is actually a random story, it went into creeped into Quran as well,
Which
without any
stories?
problem. The seven sleepers of Ephesus. There were seven
What?
sleepers who slept in because the king was persecuting the people. They slept in the cave,
Yeah.
and then they slept there for many many years. That's in
Mm-hmm.
Quran as it is.
But where is it from originally? I heard the story, but I don't
It's
know where it's from.
it's a it's a folk tale
Yeah, okay, it's a
of
folktale.
second and third century folk tale
I think
that
Japan has
people
a
were.
similar story. there is like a similar story in Japan, I think.
And you know the story of the David, you probably know that because you are a Jew. So you know there is an additional story out of the Bible about David. When he was defeated, he was running, and then he went into the cave, and the spider made a web around it.
What? Yeah.
Do you, do you remember
I,
this? Do you know this story? The David,
mhm.
David and the spider web.
I don't remember it, no.
I think it is one of the stories from probably I'll have to check it out again from Midrash or Sanhedrin. I will have to check it out. But you know, David was running and he went into a cave where the
Yeah.
spiders put a web on in front of the cave, and the people who were trying to find David could not find David, and they did not went into this cave because there was a spider web in front of it, and they went away. The same story was taken away and was associated with Muhammad. And when Muhammad was migrating from Makkah to Medina, he went into a cave and a spider created a web in front of the cave. So when the Quraysh Makkah came, they saw the web and they did not enter the cave. The same story, and it's just crazy. Like you just replace the name of David with Muhammad and Abu Bakr, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a midrash, by the way. Yeah,
That's
it's also a
Midrash,
midrash.
right?
Yeah.
So this, like, you will see stories after stories, which are the stories of the past, and Muhammad was just changing them and putting them inside. For example, in Genesis 18, if you look at it, there Abraham was pleading with God that if there were 50 people, will you not leave the city and not destroy it? What about 40? What about 30? What about, and so on and so forth? And he came down to, I think, 10 or 5. I don't remember whole. Muhammad associated the same story with himself, where he is going to Allah, bringing 50 prayers, come down, and Moses supposedly on the first heaven, saying, Muhammad, what did you do? 50 are too much. Go back. Reduce it. Muhammad goes back, comes down 40, goes back, comes down 30, goes back, and finally 5. And Muhammad said, I don't want to go back to Allah again. So you'll see stories after stories which are taken and changed a little bit and associated with Muhammad. It's just unbelievable.
I mean, that's classics. That's funny.
But that's what it is. And if you talk about this, you will be killed, apparently, in Islamic country. You can't talk about these things. No, 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 you cannot.
Damn.
So I have over 300 plus of my Urdu channel videos which are banned in Pakistan. Pakistani government banned my videos in Pakistan, so they cannot see those 300 videos in Pakistan. You can see them in every other part of the world, but you can't see them in Pakistan because they are in Urdu, so they can comprehend Urdu. So they block them. So in Pakistan they cannot be seen. I have like almost 90 videos of my English channel which are blocked in Pakistan. You can't see them in Pakistan. That's that's how it is. You just, if you can't find the person, if you can't, you have to stop the voice. Don't let the people get educated. That's how it works.
Insane. I have a okay, so do you remember the verse that says that you have to honor your parents in the Quran?
Honor your parents, yes, you have to honor your parents, but if they are Muslims, then you don't. That's what I said in Quran chapter number 58, or
No,
let's
but
go
can you
to,
say the exact word? Because I remember I had when okay, so on my video on
I'll
the
read it. I will read it.
mhm.
And it says, you will not find people who believe in Allah and the last day having affection for those who oppose Allah and His Messenger, even if they were their fathers or their sons or their brothers or their kinders.
Oh wow, that's
There you go.
beautiful. I have a no, I mean the original honor your parents. The one that seems like it's nice.
I think that will be Surah Isra, verse number 23. Let me just see. Chapter 17, 23. Hold on. It says, and your Lord has decreed that you worship not except Him, and to parents good treatment.
That's what it,
Wherever one or both of them reaches old age with you, say not to them, oof, and do not repel them, but speak to them noble words.
is there more? Is there something
That's,
like honor your parents?
that is honor your parents.
That's the
It,
honor your
it's,
parent. Because
like
from what I remembered, it
on which
says like,
translation you read.
right, interesting. So what I remember, I tried to say there are no 10 commandments in the Quran. So something that Muhammad did not take was the 10 commandments. And then somebody
Oh,
brought up different verses and tried to claim that it's the same as the 10 commandments. And I remember it was something, but it was like obey your parents. And I tried to tell him, listen, it's not it doesn't say obey your parents, it says respect, honor your parents. It's very different. And he would be like, it's the same. I said, like, it's not the same. There is a difference. Can you not? And it's like, if you honor somebody, you obey them. And I was like, this is why you guys are incompatible with the West. You don't even understand what you don't understand. Like, you cannot
yes.
fathom freedom of speech. You cannot understand the concept of honoring someone without being their slave.
I fully agree with you on this one, and that's the beauty of it. Like I said, if you read certain other translation, you might find the word honor over there as well rather than obey. It just depends on what kind of, because in Quran you will see a lot of latest translations which are very fake translations. I still try to read Sahih International, which is quite sugar coated, yet it still has some validity in a way. And when you talk about 10 commandments, I would say Muhammad broke all the 10 commandments, like literally all of them. If you go with me one by one on each and every 10 commandments, I'll show you where he broke it. For example, he bowed down to Allah, Al Uzza, and Al Manat. Thank you so very much. First two are gone. He was robbing the caravans. If you read Siratul Nabi by Ibn Ishaq, you will see Badr happened because Muhammad actually tried to attack five caravans. He was not successful in the first four. The fifth one was a successful attack. He killed the people, took them captive, and took all their money and gold. So Muhammad was a caravan robber. So he like you can go with each and every 10 commandments. Muhammad was a liar. He lied multiple times. Even he, and then he was swearing by Allah. He was saying, Wallahi, Wallahi, I will not give you camels. Then the next day he gave them camels, and the people said, oh, how can Muhammad give us camels when he said one day before that he swore by Allah and he said, I will not give you camels. So they went back to Muhammad. So they went back to Muhammad and he said, okay, if I've done that, I will provide the expiration of my oath. It doesn't matter. So you can take an oath and then you can provide the expiration of your oath. That means either you fast for a day, release one slave and free him, or you feed the hungry 10 hungry people. Full stop. There you
Mm-hmm.
go. Your expiration of your oath. So on and so forth. You can lie, he can deceive, he can cheat. He had worshipped other gods. He was bound dying to a black stone, and so on and so forth. He obliterated each and every 10 commandment, full stop. There is no doubt about it.
Okay, can I challenge you?
Yes, please.
So did the Jews. And at many times it was justified. Or not justified. Depends. Like murder was never much justified, but some were justified. And I know that's when I talk with Israelis. When I talk to them, like when you say something like that to them, and I share it with you to explain why Jews are so bad at explaining themselves. Because they hear that and they can think about 100 examples of cases that the 10 commandments were broken, but it was viewed as a positive in Judaism. And I would say, dear Jews, but it was never done by one person that happens to be the best person in the world. And every time it was just an understanding that there are there is a basic premise, right? There is a basic thing that is even above the Ten Commandments. I think the most easy one to say is idolatry, right? Cheating on your husband. There are several cases where it's being praised as heroism in the Bible. For example, person that is considered like thought to be have been married to two men was, for example, Esther, the queen, who is a hero. And another person is Yael, who, but the thing is like saving your people, saving lives really does break you, like let you, is more important even from a lot of other commandments, for example. So Jews would hear that, it was like, yeah, but also we have those cases because this is how refined Judaism is. It's like, yeah, you cannot choose, but if it's that or an Holocaust, then for sure go ahead and like sleep with whomever it's needed. If it's gonna save your people from getting butchered, then go ahead. You have a green light, you're a hero. You know, it's funny. But I say that because I want to also hear your perspective. It sounds like, okay, so part of understanding Islam, you had to learn some Judaism. Can
Yes.
you explain to us, to the Jews who don't understand the difference, what do you think the difference is?
So difference is very simple. When someone does an action which goes against any teaching that he follows,
Mm-hmm.
he's supposed to be repentful, and he's supposed to be acknowledging that he has done a sin. That's how simple it is. Uh, on the flip side, when you look at Muhammad, all of his sins were accepted and acknowledged by God as not sin. So
Right.
it's an entirely different thing. So you are telling me somebody in the Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a prophet. Let's take David. David performed
David
adultery,
was not a
right?
prophet. He was a king.
Okay, King
He
David.
was
Let's
not a
choose king.
prophet. No,
Uh,
because we have, it's a very
uh,
important thing. We have you have to, the jury, like the separation of power in Judaism means that a
yeah,
king and a
from the
prophet
judges.
cannot be the same person.
Yeah. So he did adultery, correct? We agree. We both agree. Now, what if God of David, and I'm gonna use this as an example. God
Mm-hmm.
of David would say, no, no, that's all good. That's all good. I married you with him because now this lady was not in need of the previous husband, just like he did with Zainab, the wife of Zaid. That Muhammad went and saw the wife of Zaid, who was his adopted son, and Quran, Muhammad said, Subhanallahi muqallibul qulub. Praise be the Lord who changes the hearts. And Zainab heard that. Zainab said to Zaid, Zaid, this is what your prophet said. And Zaid said, okay, I'm going to give you a divorce. You can go marry Muhammad. Muhammad said, no, 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 please take your wife. Please keep your wife. But then Allah revealed the verse. Allah said, Zaid is no longer in need of Zainab. Muhammad, I have married Zainab with you. So now, see, that's the difference. When we look at David, he had to repent. God said, I'm going to punish you. I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna I'm gonna finish your firstborn. And he repented. He fully repented, and he was so sorry. And God did not change his commandment because one of his noble man, let's just put it this way, acknowledged, sorry, performed a sin. Whereas here in Muhammad's God is constantly changing his divine revelation, and now adoption has been abrogated forever and ever for each and every Muslim because Muhammad lusted for a woman who was the wife of his adopted son. See, this is a problem. The problem is not that humans are sinner. Each and every one of us are sinner. We perform sin. I'm sin. I'm a sinner. You're a sinner. Every single human being is a sinner. It's altogether a very different attitude when you claim that your God actually changed his divine orders to fulfill your desire. Even Aisha is saying in a Sahih Bukhari hadith that, Muhammad, I feel very agitated how a woman can give her body to some man. How can he do that? And Allah revealed the verse, Quran chapter number 33, verse number 50. Ya Muhammad, any woman who will give her body to you, take it as a gift. That's the word hiba in chapter
Mm-hmm.
number 33, verse number 50. They try to do some falsified translation in there. That's a separate thing for another topic someday. So the any single woman who would like to give her body to Muhammad, it's allowed for Muhammad to keep her. And verse number 51 says, oh, maybe you don't like some woman because maybe she is fat or whatever. Keep her for some time. Use the other ones. When you don't have other ones, keep the one that you put aside, bring her back. So it's not marriage. If you see Quran chapter number 33, verse number 50 and 51 altogether, you will see it is not marriage. Muhammad is going around having woman after woman. And Allah allowed it. That's adultery. If that's not adultery, I don't know what else is adultery, because here Muhammad already had so many wives. Aisha was his wife, Maimuna was his wife, and a couple of other wives at that in Sauda, and a couple of other wives Muhammad already had when he was going around having different other women as gifts. Imagine this. So that's what I'm saying. It's not that people are sinner. It's you defining your sin as a command from so-called God and making it a verdict for the generations who are going to follow you. He was an absolute
Wait, this is
Satan.
the part I don't understand. How does Muhammad's actions command the next generations? Because it is in every time it was exception to the law because Muhammad is so great. But does it mean only great people like Muhammad are like what? How do you differentiate between those laws and those
Okay.
laws?
There are
When is
certain
it?
laws which are only for Muhammad, and it says in the verse that this is an exception only for you. Quran chapter number 33, verse number 50. Any woman who would give herself to Muhammad, you Prophet, are allowed to have it. That's an exception for Muhammad. Muhammad having more than 4 wives is an exception for Muhammad, not for everybody else. But the other 96%, 97% of the things, those are generic. For example, when you go and take the booty from war, Muhammad has to keep 20%. The rest of the 80% will be divided among the rest of the Muslimin. So now, exception is not that you cannot take the booty. Exception is you can only take 80%, 20% goes to Muhammad. When Muhammad dies, you can have all of the 100% divide among yourself. And then it says in Quran, it says, obey Muhammad to obey Allah. Man yutiyar rasula faqad Allah. It's the other way around. It's not obey God so that you could obey your prophet. It's the other way around. Quran chapter number 4, verse number 80. Man yutiyar rasula faqad Allah. The one who obeyed Muhammad has obeyed Allah. It's in reverse order. Imagine, it's in reverse order. You have to obey a human being to obey God. This is how stupid it is.
So how do you follow laws like that? How do you follow the Quran if it says one thing and then another thing? And if it's different, if it's Muhammad or if it's not Muhammad, how do you even navigate that to know?
Then you have the tafsir. Then you have the
I see.
tafsir, which are called the
Okay.
interpretation.
Are there values that are fundamentally accepted?
What do you mean by value that are fundamentally accepted?
Like things that are um okay,
Cultural
I would
values?
jihad is to be honest.
Cultural values. Okay, yeah. So there are certain cultural values that as long as you're a Muslim, you have to obey your parents. Full stop. Obey your parents. If you don't
All
obey
right,
your parents,
obey,
obey.
not
And I mean
respect.
obey.
Yes.
O- Obey, not respect. Obey. You have
Okay.
to obey them fully, right?
Right.
Uh, Whatever they say, you have to follow. As long now, there is Allah is always, and I have done a stream called Allah is the God of accept.
Mm-hmm.
Every single command in Islam has an accept with it. Okay, so accept when they say something which does not corresponds to the words of Allah and Muhammad.
Okay, and how do you know if it does or it isn't?
Very good question. And now I call end of discussion, because now you go into a huge dilemma, because which interpretation will you accept? Now that's where another problem lies in. So it everything lies in the interpretation, because Quran is not complete. Quran has 6,400 something verses only. That's it. In those 6,000 something verses, you have the stories of the past in approximately 40 to 45% of the Quran. These are story of the past. Then there are stories of the Prophet Muhammad himself, so-called Prophet, for the rest of the 25%. And then you have the rest of the 30%, approximately, give or take, where you have contradictory verses, because certain verses are abrogated by certain other verses. And some people say this verse has been abrogated by this verse, and some say no, this is not abrogated. It still remains intact. So it depends on which person, which interpreter do you follow at that particular time, because Islam has to always follow some interpreter, some mufti you have to follow. Otherwise, you cannot fully interpret the Quran according to your own self, because it's just so mixed up, mingled in, jumbled in. You just simply cannot do that unless you read the tafsir. And let's say, let me give you another example. If you go into the tafsir, for example, in Islam, when you have to give talaq is divorce. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
can you give the divorce in one sitting, or you have to give the divorce in three multiple sitting? This is called triple talaq or three talaq, three divorce. So according to Imam Shafi Rahimahullah, which is one of the sect of Islam, Shafi Islam, he takes a hadith in which a person comes to Muhammad and says, Ya Muhammad, I have given divorce to my wife, and I have given all three divorce at once. And Muhammad said, ah, did you did you intend to give all three divorces at once? And he said no. And he said, done, then this is only one divorce. So Imam Shafi said, because of this hadith, a person can never give three divorces at once. He can give one divorce at once, and then he has to use another time to give the second divorce. Imam Abu Hanifa says it opposite. He said, in this hadith, Muhammad asked, did you intended to give three divorces at once? Because he asked the intention, it means if the intention of the person is to give three divorces at once, he can give three divorces at once. Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
very much. Same as these two interpretations. So now, which one do you follow now? Now, for example, your parents follow some other, you follow some other, you will have disagreements. Now tell me how you will resolve these disagreements. See,
Yeah.
now this so much into Islam is just so unbelievable. I wasted so much of my life in trying to understand Islam, and then I finally left it. It's just so crazy. Everything you pick up, there is something crazy there.
So what makes you stick to it? Is there something like
So as long as I was following one person, I was fine. When I grew up a little older, I started to realize there is a problem, because there are other interpretations. And I started to find out, I started to realize, okay, I need to search this and I need to search that. But most of your early life, you are growing up and making your own career, so you don't have enough time. But once you start to find time and you start to study, you'll realize, no way. And then you get exposed to the Western critics. And I was exposed to Dr. David Wood, I was exposed to Dr. J. Smith, I was exposed to Christian Prince, and so on and so forth. And I realized, no way. This is, I don't even know even the tip of the iceberg. So I started to search even further. And the more studied, the more I started to stay away from it. And after a few more years of my study, I was like, this is a stupid, idiotic cult. And then the parents comes into play, and then the family comes into play, and then you will be like, okay. And then I was like, okay, done, let's just tell the whole world, because the only way to change this mental disease is to tell the whole world, so that the more the people will come out of it, the better it is for my next generation, for my children and my children's children, to live in this world as a free people. Because if I am under threat, my children are under threat. and my children's children will be under threat. So we need to remove this threat from our children, from our generations to come. And that's why I speak about it every other day.
It's insane. It's like a huge cult. So is there room for debate in Islam? Let's say you believe in this kind of verse, another person, can you have like a debate?
There is room for debate with other theologies with so much of a red line that you can't even cross. So if I do a debate in Pakistan on a stage, you can assume I'm going for a running competition with my hands tied behind my back and my feet tied. That is how they will actually debate. So Islam has a different Jesus in it. Okay, that Jesus is not God. And now you're having a discussion with them and you're having a debate. Now, if you say something beyond certain level, you will be persecuted. You might be killed right there and then, and that happened in Pakistan as well. But they can say anything to the Jesus of Christians, because for them there is no red line. What I say is, if you want to put a red line, it has to be equally red for both parties. It is not possible that you will put a red line where you can cross it, but they cannot. If you say to a Christian, Jesus is not God, then the Christian is equally should have equal freedom of speech to say Muhammad is not prophet and Allah is not God. You see, that balance is not there. They can say whatever, you cannot.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, because I tell you, I'm making a video about comparing the religions, right? And in there, I wrote there are three. Let me check. Actually, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna check it because it's gonna take time. So I actually assume there is a basic premise. There is goal, and I say it global, and there is a global mission that I have. This is how I described it, okay? So when you come to a discussion from the Jewish perspective, you have to, the first commandment that we got is provo. It's go ahead and multiply. So life is the most sacred value. And you punish in order to, ensure life on the long run. Everything is, so why you for education? Because education will ensure the survival of humanity. Kind of like Elon Musk things, like we have to get to Mars because the planet is gonna. So this is very, like, this is the basic premise. This is the goal of Judaism, like preservance of life. Okay, long term. So that means cutting off things that would hurt humanity. It means a lot of things. Okay. But that's the goal. The basic premise, the way it's being presented is justice. So talking about justice, right? So the justice is there to ensure the preservation of life under the assumption of like image of God, blah, blah, blah. You know this. And then the global mission is to have those values, the basic values of Judaism, they are supposed to be global. So there is no such thing as somebody's life is better than others. Let's say, like, I don't know, like there are things that are like, for example, and I say it, even Jews, even without knowing it, they do it all the time. Because what do Jews do? Jews invented the thing called, human rights, the global human rights. You know who pushed it? Jews. A lot of those things, not all of them, some of Christians. Christianity is, by the way, an extension of. So it's also a way to look at it. But they did, it's something that I told AP at the time. It's like, if you dig deep enough in Christianity, he says, like, I said it like, you read Judaism and then you go back to the thing that you protect life. And he was like, yeah, but most people just hit the wall. And I was like, okay. But when Paul came, so with the Christianity, it's like love and why love is because through love you can get to salvation. So Christianity introduced the concept of a sin that you're born with, and therefore you have to accept the love of Jesus to get to salvation. So that's their so I said a basic premise, their goal is salvation, but the way to get through it is through love. This is how they mostly sell it. And then the global mission is for the whole world to acknowledge that Jesus. But when it comes to Islam, I see nothing but, the goal is world domination. The way the basic premise is jihad. And the global mission is submission to Muhammad. This is how and every time, if you have a conversation when it comes to Islam, I feel like you cannot even come from the place of, well, why should women have women rights? In Judaism, okay, because women who are educated, then that gives an extra guarantee for their children to be educated, and that is important if we want to preserve life long term, because this and that. When it comes to Islam, it's is it helping us with the conquest? No. So who cares? To me, you cannot even have those discussions because the goal is conquest. Is there anything but that you think exists there? Because I just cannot see it.
You're actually right in a very, very high level. You're actually right. Islam gives the verses of jihad and verses of fighting 123 of them. 123 out of 1,000 verses which are about how you should live your life. 123 are about fighting and jihad. I'm actually separating the word jihad with fighting because a lot of Muslim comes up and say jihad does not means fighting. And I would be like, really? Are you sure?
Because I would say that if it serves the goal, the global mission of submission to Muhammad, then you can do it whatever way you want.
Okay.
So maybe
Let me give you more specifics on that.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 verses in Quran where you can interpret jihad as not fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter number 23, verse number 52, chapter 16, verse number 110, and chapter 29, verse number 69. Out of 123 verses, these are the only 3 verses where you may be able to say it is not fighting. The rest are all about fighting. All of
Yeah.
them. If you want the number, I can give you all the numbers. I've done 2 discussions on one in Sudarshan TV India, which is a satellite TV channel, and one is News Nation India about jihad. This is very, very powerful, and I've done 16 hours of live streaming in 3 different days about jihad in my Urdu channel. This is absolutely clear that Islam, the final message of Muhammad before he died, after he conquered Makkah, after he went into the Battle of Hunain, he wanted to occupy each and every land into Islam with power and by force. And that is when chapter number 9, Surah Tawbah, came into playing, where he's done with Hunain. Now he wants Makkan to accept Islam or be killed. And then he went out all the way to 1,200 kilometers away to Tabuk and the fringes of Oman and fringes of Sham. That's how he actually laid down his last years when he had human manpower. And according to a lot of scholars, many of the previous verses, for example, you have your religion, I have my religion, kind of a thing, there is no compulsion in religion, are abrogated verses, because now we have power and we have to follow chapter number 9 verse number 5, chapter number 9 verse number 29, and so on and so forth. But then again, there is another concept in Quran, which is Quran chapter number 47 verse number 35, which says, do not go for peace when you are superior. So Muslims actually have another theory saying when you are not superior, when you do not have manpower, the verses there is no compulsion in religion, you have your religion, I have mine, is still in play. Because just like when Muhammad did not have power, these verses were given to Muhammad to follow. Hence, if you are in a country where you are under 30%, under 20%, under X%, depending on which scholar you actually follow, you have to follow the law of the country. It is not in the Quran. In Quran, you do not follow the law of the country. In Hadith, you do not follow the law of the country. These are the scholars who are saying that because you are smaller in number, follow the law of the country, do not shout, do not go out claiming Sharia, Sharia. But when your number increases to an X percentage of number, because Quran has two verses about it, Allah will give you superiority if you are 20 of them over 100, right? That's 1 into 5. And then Allah said, the next verse, Allah said, oh, I know your hearts are weakened and you do not have the strength. Now, if you are 100, you will overcome 200. So it just depends which verse you follow, whether you want the 50% or you want to start at 20%. So it just depends. So, anyhow, until that time comes, until that boundary comes, you have to claim you have your religion, I have mine, and there's no compulsion in religion. When that time comes, Quran chapter number 47, verse number 35 says, now that you are superior in number, do not go for peace because now you are superior. Now you go into chapter number 5 and chapter number 9 and you go and start bashing that you want Sharia and start destroying their synagogues and churches and temples. This is Quran itself saying that, and cut their hands and their strike their necks and so on and so forth. And this is all Quran. I'm not even going in the Quran, not going out of the Quran at this moment. And that's the way you would see these people following in the western part of the world right now as we are speaking, in London, in Germany, in Canada, and so on and so forth. And it's all Quranic, and it goes absolutely the way the Muslim scholars describe, and that's what it is. Islam cannot live with any other ideology, full stop.
Right. Somebody wants to talk to you as well. Can I add them to the? Stephen wants to talk to you.
Yeah, sure.
Here, I'm gonna add him. Hey, Stephen, how
Okay.
are you doing?
Thanks for inviting me back, and thanks Adam Sika for providing all this context and detail. So, were you able to hear what I was talking to Rebecca about at the beginning, or no?
You had a lot of I thinks in your
Yeah.
statements, and quite frankly, when I do my discussion, I'm sorry to say that you might not like it. I don't work on I thinks. I work on exact references. So if you follow my channel, which is Adam Seeker, I go live every Monday 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday, and I go live every Thursday 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I do discussions. They are open streams. Anybody can come in and have discussion. But what I say to begin the discussion with is I don't work with I thinks. I work with exact references. If you want to quote, have a discussion. If you don't want to quote, just listen and enjoy it because I'm going to give you references. So yes, brother, please
Oh,
continue.
oh yes, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly, and I admitted that I had my knowledge was low, and I was trying to understand. I came to the conversation to understand. So, but my approach now is there's over the past 20 years, no, 24 years in America, there's been this um, hyper attention on the Muslim world for some obvious and some not so obvious reasons. And we have a small Muslim population here in America, and the West has basically most of the West has about less than 10% Muslim population, so some more. And we're talking about honoring parents, and we're talking about religion of the religion of people's parents.
May I
And
intervene if you don't mind?
sure, go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you short. You said very little population. Brother, this is not
Yes.
how Islam works. Islam works in pockets. Whenever a Muslim comes into, let's say, a country, he will always look for where is his kind of people living, where are Muslims living. they don't try to live among non-Muslims. They will find pockets and they will move there. Look at London. There are pockets. There are three pockets of Muslim population, and if you go to that pocket, Muslims are over 80% because they will push the rest of the people away. The first thing that they did in Canada, in London, is they started their migration right next to the Jewish community. Jewish community. If you go there before 2000, you will see a very beautiful Jewish community living there. Nice streets, clean streets. You will see very nice food stalls on Sundays and so on and so forth. Now if you go there, most of them has already migrated. This is exactly how they work. If you go to California, you will see the same thing happening in those pockets. You'll go to New York, Queens area, you will see the same thing happening there. So saying that their population is very little does not mean anything to me. You have to give me the pocket that you're talking about. And then, because from that pocket, they can raise the voice and volume. They work in groups and then they raise the volume in groups. They never go out and live in general. Like, for example, if a if a Hindu will go to America, he'll just live anywhere. If a Hindu will go to Germany, he'll just live anywhere. And if he finds a couple of people, he'll be good. Oh, friend, you're from India. Well, brother, come on, let's have party. Muslims don't do that like that. So you need to realize how they work before you say that their numbers are little. Their numbers are very strong because they are in groups. Yes, brother.
Okay. I was going by population percentage. I wasn't going by like density. I was going by density versus the entire population. That's what I was saying. But I understand what you're saying, and thank you for clarifying. My main thing is because it's hard to separate a person from their family's religion. Like even if they are inclined inclined to be critical thinkers, how would you how in general? Obviously, you have a YouTube channel, you're building an audience, but from a person to person point of view, when I would encounter like it's going to be a rare occasion because this my community it's not a pocket of a Muslim like hometown. How would you approach a person who is Muslim? You're not trying to convince them about a religion, but somebody who's like who has the opportunity to think for themselves and live a life aside from the religion of their parents or their immediate family who is Muslim. Because I don't want to approach it as an adversarial type of position because I'm sure a lot of people get unfair discrimination because of the religion their family comes from. I want to be I want to be fair, you know.
Okay. Let me request you one more time to say
Sure.
your sentence in a way that I can comprehend. You were trying to be so polite that I lost your chain of thought. Like, can you please ask me straight? I don't mind how derogatory that question is. Please ask me straight what your question is. Because, like, literally speaking, it was so long, I lost it. Maybe
Uh,
Rebecca can explain it to me if she
yeah,
knows
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what you're saying.
So the thing is that the Muslims had managed to somehow convince the world that they are akin to Jews, meaning that yes, in like insulting a Muslim would be akin to insulting a Jew. But in reality, somebody was declaring that they are Muslims. They are not a part of a ethnic group that has a respectable ideology and anything like that. They're just saying, "Hey, I'm a Nazi. Now respect me."
Okay, now that is good. Now, see, that's a good
No,
way of asking question. So let me ask the first part. Let
okay.
me tell you the first part.
This is the question.
Quran.
If I was
Let,
short,
let me answer
let
her.
me
Let me answer her question, and then I'll go
go ahead.
back to you.
Go ahead.
If a Muslim says that we are like Jews, or we are Jews, or we are friends to Jews, it is an oxymoron statement. It is as if saying pork is vegetable.
Yeah,
It's like saying
chickens
cow
are
is vegetable.
friends of KFC.
Thank you so very much. So, like every single verse of the Quran and the Hadith is killing the Jews, abusing the Jews. They are the worst of worst believers. certain verses of the Quran at certain times says, oh, Christians, some of the Christians are better, closer to you. Some of the Christians, not all. But then the next verse will say, for example, Quran chapter number 5, verse number 50 and 51, 52, versus Quran chapter number 5, verse number 80 and 81. And if you see, one of them says, do not be friends with Jews and Christians. They are just the friends of each other, and you'll never go to heaven if you be friends with them. The second one says, oh, Jews are nasty, but Christians, some of the Christians are good. Okay. So but there are two verses in the Quran before the Hijrah, before the migration, where Muhammad said that the Jews, Christians, and Sabi'ins, if they believe in Allah and the last day, they should not worry, they will all go to heaven. But then when he went to Medina and finally had discussions with Jews rejected Muhammad, saying, hello, you can't be our prophet. It's not possible. What you're explaining is like, come on, really? You can't be our prophet. And then Muhammad threw all of the 7 tribes of Jews from, by the way, how they were 7 tribes of Jews in Arabia, I had no idea. But anyhow, 7 tribes of Jews from Medina to
Judaism was a very popular ideology back in the day.
it must be, but in that area I highly doubt there were all 7 tribes were there as well. But that's a discussion for another time, because at that area I highly doubt. We'll talk
Why?
about that.
It's
But
close
he
to
threw them
Israel. Did
away.
you see the map?
Yes, let's say they were, and then he threw them away, and then on one night he attacked them, killed each and every male person who had hairs on their private part, and left the woman to be sex slave for the Muslimin. This is how he destroyed each and every single Jew in that land. And you are telling me Muslims are saying we love Jews and we are like Jews and etc. It's utmost stupidity and oxymoron, Rebecca.
No,
That's how I would say.
that's not what I said. I said they are akin, not like that they like them. I mean like they
Okay.
have positioned themselves. So like going against the Jews, like saying trash about Jews, like Jews are like this or like that. It's like saying Italians are like this or like that, because Judaism is like a nationality. It is a
So
nationality.
yes, I know
So
this is a bloodline.
right,
That is because of a
but Islam is like Nazism. So saying you are Muslim is like saying I'm a Nazi. If somebody comes and tell me that they are a Nazi, I can assume whatever I want on them. But if somebody comes and say, "Hi, I'm Italian," that I might think that there is there is a more probable chance that they know how to make pasta from scratch, but I wouldn't like assume too much. You know what I'm saying? It's very
I
different.
got it.
This is why I said like Muslims, they dressed up as if they're Jewish. It's like, oh yeah, like Islam is the ummah, right? And this is why they said that they are ummah, like a nationality, like an ummah. But they're not an ummah. They're a
Do you know
Nazistic
Rabbi
ideology.
Tovia Singer?
Yeah, but I don't really listen to him. But
Thank
I
God.
heard about him.
So this is the guy who actually said and who started this movement of that Islam is closer to Judaism than Christianity. So
I
Rabbi
think
Tovia Singer is the modern rabbi who stated certain things like that, and then he was invited by Muhammad Hijab as well to one of his channel where he destroyed and obliterated Muhammad Hijab as well. But that's like you should listen to how this thing played out 4 years ago before COVID, and it was beautiful. But at the end of the day, I think he is one of those few people who started this kind of a statement where he associated Islam in some way, and that pushed Muslims to start saying that Muslims, when you look at these people, they'll find even a smallest pinhole to pass through to make themselves look good. That's how they
no, but
work.
that's not exactly true, because what is ummah? This is it. It's all
Nation,
taken. What is midrash? Madrasa.
madrasa, yeah,
Midrasha. Where is
school.
it from? Yeah, but midrasha. Who went to midrasha? Who
Uh,
is an ummah?
Ummah is nation,
Right.
according to Arabic.
But why do I say to the pronunciation I use? Like, listen to I didn't say Ummah, I say Ummah. I didn't say madrasa, I said midrasha.
So these are coming from Hebrew terminologies then.
Yes, this is all Hebrew, this is all Jewish.
Please
The
enlighten
first
me.
thing,
So please enlighten me
so you
how
remember
what
what
hadith means
Muhammad
here.
did? You remember how he washed himself? What did Muhammad do? He started pretending and act like externally like a Jew. So everything that is exterior, like you don't like no pork. Why did Islam choose to take something like not eating pork while Christianity didn't?
Oh,
Because
by the way, but
they,
but then we have another problem that he said no pork, just like the Leviticus talks about it. But then again, he took the camel and he was eating camel because there were camel were abundant there. So it's just crazy,
yeah,
he
but
takes
this
something
is
and rejects something.
it's not that. It's just like it shows like, but it's just he didn't know what he was because okay, I'll tell you something. Like, camel is not stated in the Torah. It's written like black on white, pig. The rest of the animals, there is a description of what's kosher and not kosher, and there are like the pure animals. But anyway, pig is like written black on white. It's very easy to understand. But what Muhammad did, like done, like he started washing himself, like all those and using the term ummah and opening madrasa, like all these the national things that built the Jewish nation. He took them. It's like, why do I like it so much? Like the National
I'm
Socialism,
gonna
not the
I'm gonna finish
Nazis.
my question,
Like,
and I can buy out after that. So the freedom of speech and the freedom of religion, those are really in high regard in America. So even like, so we like to debate and we like to evangelize freely, but when it comes to these pockets of Muslims, Islam, obviously there's going to be a limited amount of debate we're going to do with them. And we have the Second Amendment when the First Amendment fails, in the case. But my point of view, and I think a lot of Americans' point of view, especially Christian Americans' point of view, is that everybody should have an opportunity to be able to hear about Christ or hear about religion. So my question to you, Adam Seeker, is how do you differentiate between a person who was born into the Muslim belief system and somebody who has um, taken on that belief system and is actively trying to subvert, other people through force or through violence or through legislation, and they're trying to subvert the freedom of speech, subvert the the ability to criticize others and this kind of thing. Because
It starts with
it's not
Muhammad. Muhammad became a Muslim at 40 years of his age. That was the first time then he received revelation. Every
like Rabbi
single
Akiva,
Muslim, sorry?
like Rabbi Akiva, wasn't he 40 year
Yeah.
old?
Yeah, so he so every single Muslim accepted Islam after a certain time, and hence they were supposed to do that. So whether you are in America, Canada, Europe, wherever you are, you have to do this, and giving dawa is one of the basic thing. You have to give dawa, and the dawa is the bare minimum. So the hadith of Nasai, it is sahih, it says, when whoever see a munkar, and they translate it as sometimes evil and sometimes wrong, I don't care how they translate it. It says man ra'yal munkar. Whoever sees a munkar, the rejecter. Munkar is the one who rejects Allah and Muhammad's teaching. That's a munkar. That's
is
where
that kafir the same thing as a kafir or no?
no. Munkar, man ra'yal munkar, the one who sees a munkar, like uh, anything that Allah did not say good is evil. Full stop. Right? You have to stop him with your hand. This is the verse of jihad, like with your sword, with your hand, with your gun, with your knife, with your whatever. And if you can't do that, then stop it with your mouth, with your tongue, lisan, right? And then if you can't do that, then think in your heart that this is wrong. Think in your
Okay, I get it.
heart.
I get it. I
So
get it. So
if you're a
so
Muslim, you have to
Muslims
do one of
are
the three.
no. So basically, you're saying that Islam is is basically Second Amendment, and if the Second Amendment won't work, use the First Amendment.
I
What?
have no idea about these amendments.
Hell
Okay,
no.
in America, in America, we have a constitution, and our constitution is freedom of
Hell
speech
no.
is the First Amendment, and the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms.
No, but
And they
right to bear arm does not means that you have to use your arms to go and convince somebody to accept what you are accepting. Right to bear arm means you are going to defend if somebody comes in your house or try to violate your certain freedoms. So
that's true.
that's right to bear arm is. So
Yes.
I don't know about amendments, so forget amendments. So right to bear arm means if somebody is coming to take my freedom away, where they want to do something to my family or my finances or my house, I should be able to defend using the arms. Freedom of speech is I can say what I think is right, whether it hurts your feelings or not. None of these things.
No, no. It's freedom of speech is the government won't infringe upon my ability to speak. It's basically the government won't make any laws or amendments
Okay,
to,
then in
to
UK,
limit
freedom of
my
speech is gone,
religion
right?
to limit my religion or freedom of speech. But
So
yeah, you can,
in Britain, there is no freedom of speech anymore because
no,
if you say
there
something
never
on
was.
Facebook, they're
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
bring
yeah,
you in
yeah,
jail.
yeah. They
There
don't
never
have it.
was
That's
in
true.
Britain. That's why we left. That's why Americans left Britain because there never was a freedom of speech. They royalty and the government always had the right to censor you, limit your freedom of speech, or kill you if they didn't like what you said.
Then Britain is like Islamic Sharia anyways when it
No,
comes to freedom of
not
speech.
quite, not quite, but they don't have freedom of speech. They never did.
Okay. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question. Do you have any follow up?
No, no. So, well, I guess the difference is when there's a Muslim majority, like what happened after the chaos that sort of the
Look
U.S.
at Bangladesh. That's what
Like
happened.
no,
Look at
I looked at
Pakistan. That's what
I looked
happens.
at the Yazidi people. The Yazidi
Why
people
is
were
it?
in this
Can I
sort of
ask a genuine question? Why is
uh,
it so hard to comprehend? Like, why is it so hard to understand that this is a Nazi-like, Nazi-esque ideology that would bring destruction and death to wherever it goes? Like, why is it so hard to accept that?
oh, okay. So are you talking to Adam or are you talking to me?
Well, I think Adam accepts
That's
it.
you. Yeah,
Okay, so
that
we
she's asking you.
in America, in America, we tend to accept people as individuals and not based upon their their nation state or their religion. If they when they come here, we accept them
I
as
know you.
individuals
This
and
is
then we
why you
treat them
accepted
as
Nazis
individuals.
too.
But of course, we accepted Nazis, but it was a completely different time in America, and there was a lot of similarities between how we treated immigrants on our southern borders and a lot of similarities in how
Well, let me ask you something
Nazis
so the
treated
discussion
immigrants.
could be shortened. If you give milk to a poisonous snake every day for 1,000 years, will the snake stop spitting poison? And when the time comes, will it not bite you?
I don't understand the concept, but no, that feeding
Like,
something
no,
doesn't
no,
change
wait.
the composition.
Why is it so hard to
No,
comprehend how dangerous Islam is?
So
Okay, so on an
you
individual
know
basis, you
you
don't
don't,
get it,
you
but
don't,
like
you
in
when
don't.
general.
Rebecca, when
Islam,
we were young, we had a story in our elementary school books. There was a tortoise turtle, and there was a scorpio, and the scorpio, there was like it rained so much that there was some kind of a water on there. So the turtle said, okay, scorpion, come sit on my back. The scorpion went on the back because turtle can float in the water, and the turtle started floating, and it saved the scorpion. But after some time, the scorpion started to sting the turtle because the turtle has a very hard shell, so it did not pass through it. And the turtle said, what are you doing? I'm saving your life. Why are you stinging me? And the scorpion said, I can't stop my habit. That's my habit. That's my inbuilt mechanism. I cannot change that inbuilt mechanism. This is in my nature that I have to sting. So the nature of Islam is to destroy each and every culture and bring Islamic culture. is to destroy every place of worship and make it Islamic place of worship. If this is the reality written in the Sahih Hadith, written in Quran, it has to sting. When it waits, it only waits because it doesn't have the opportunity to sting. Once it will have the opportunity to sting, its nature will come out. Quran chapter 47, verse number 35, and it will sting. Full stop. No matter how you try to hold the ear or state in a nice sugar coated manner, this will not change. It's there. It's a history of 1200 years that you can see. And if you can't even learn from the history, I don't know what can make you learn and understand.
Okay, so first off, I I understand that. And I think I said that in the beginning of the conversation that how Muslims behave in Muslim majority country. In America, in general, we are a nation that I get. You can put it in air quotes if you want, but we pride ourselves on becoming better than who we are. Right? We had founding fathers. We had this sort of
Yeah,
nation
guys,
state
I
that
have a
started. But
question.
we're trying to get. Sure, go shoot.
I'm gonna add another person who requested to ask. Can I leave you guys for 5 minutes alone?
Yeah, Rebecca, thank you so very much. I will
Or do you?
definitely get in touch with you again. But for now,
No,
I would
because
like to.
I need to, I want to go for a minute and come back. Or is it okay for you? Or because you've been talking and I'm interrupting you just to ask if I can go for a
No, no,
minute.
you're absolutely right. But I need to drop for
Oh,
some
okay,
time.
okay, okay,
I have to
okay.
grab something. So you guys keep talking, and do
Perfect.
join me whenever you feel like
Yes, I
comfortable.
will.
Join
I'll
me
check out
and
your
have time.
channel.
And
Thank you for
I'll
joining.
catch you guys later. Take
Thank you,
care.
Adam.
God
Thank you
bless
so
you all.
Thank you.
much.
Bye bye.
Okay, I'm gonna have Messenger of Allah on and I'm gonna ask him if he wants to, if you can guys be 2 minutes.
That's a shame Adam left because I actually wanted to correct one thing about hi everybody.
Oh, how did I add more
Um,
people that I
Bismillah,
left?
Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim.
Can I go
Thank
for
you.
After
1 minute?
inviting the
Are you
people.
guys okay with it? Please act nice.
Rebecca, go ahead. I'm gonna
Oh, you're
manage. Don't
here,
don't worry.
Greg. You're here. Okay, okay. I can trust
Go
you.
ahead. I'm
Hello,
managing.
hello, messenger of Allah. Hello.
Hey, Steve. I just wanted.
Hello, hello.
Hello, messenger. Indeed, I just wanted to correct earlier, and it's a shame Adam left. In fact, the moral he was saying. First of all, it's a great moral. It's a very good known one. But I want to reiterate how sadly he ruined it for his own self by telling it in the incorrect way. It's not about the turtle and the scorpion, it's about the frog and the scorpion, which is far worse. Why? Because you see, the turtle won't die, which is a good example, and basically, kind of the outcome is that the scorpion gets to the other side of the water, right? So the kind of benefits from what he wants. In our instance, and this is very relevant to what we're talking because the Arab society very much benefits if we're talking particularly about Gaza, West Bank, by being adjacent to us and from all the greatness. I mean, with all due respect, not even talking about work and electricity, water, and all the other stuff that we technically we shouldn't be it's not shouldn't be even our problem. But why is the frog sort of so important to bring the to say that it's the frog and not the turtle? Because in that example, the scorpion is willing to drown, knowing that when he's going to sting the frog will actually die. That means the scorpion will die as well. Meaning, his nature is so strong that even when he absolutely is aware that he's going to subsequently lead to his own death, he still does it. That's what makes the story so. I mean, if you ask me, so much so worse. Because again, the reality is it's not a brag. The reality is that Israel has no resources. We don't produce any cars. We don't produce anything. The only thing we have is brains. The only thing we produce is brains. That means a lot of good ideas from agriculture to tech to biochemistry to whatever you can name it comes from here. Why? Because we don't have anything else. I mean, literally, that's kind of the resource we started developing, right? And I mean, with all the respect, everybody benefits from it. And I think devouring Israel, destroying us all together, is gonna backfire at anybody and everybody altogether. It's the same thing as killing your gold laying, golden egg laying goose in order to eat one meal. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so it's basically like eating your seed crop, kind of thing.
But pretty much, yeah. Very, very good analogy there, Steve. Yeah, correct. And it's not like, with all the respect, again, we're not warmongering people. We have more than enough space. If people here are confused that, there's some density and we're trying to take territory, guys, come and visit. There's plenty of room to expand and expand and expand and expand, and it's such a funny situation. It's so evident, I guess. To me, the most ironic thing is how people are able to see that when Russia attacked Ukraine, everybody were able to see distinctly who's the aggressor, who's the oppressed, what's going on, who's to blame, what's the problem. In this instance, because Gaza is smaller and it seems to be oppressed, you guys are forgetting that the Arab world is gigantic. You can copy Gaza into any Arab country a million times over. They will not find it for years if they will not tell them where you put it. Okay, that's literally how small it is. And with all the respect, what they have brought about themselves in terms of conditions is their own doing. They were given amounts that literally can build a come again.
I don't think this group disagrees with you at all.
No, I'm not. I know you guys are not. I'm just sort of reiterating the point. So they actually ended up being the scorpion, so much so they actually don't mind drowning subsequently, because as I said in Adam's example, it wasn't as clear, because as I said, the result of the scorpion's actions do not result with his demise. In my example, you can see sort of how much more emphasis there is on that point, how much more important it is.
I look at it. I'm looking at the situation in terms of a propaganda war. Like, there's so few voices in Israel, and versus the voices in the Arab world, and
Right.
total who
Correct.
are
Steve. I
advocating
often call that.
for
I call that
advocating.
problem. If I may interrupt, yeah, I call that problem we lose out of the starting line. You're correct.
Yeah, I'm like, so you're losing the war of you're losing the debate, because for whatever reason people see the Gazians, or whatever you want to call them, Philistines, whatever you want to call them. I'm not gonna go that far, because I recognize that there's funding from the outside for proxy war, and America's done this to other countries too. So we're not sinless in this, but there's a proxy war. There's a proxy war that's happening, and it's clear to me that Gaza is like a leverage kind of thing.
Absolutely. Exactly.
There's no
Which makes it
Palestinian.
funny, Steve. Just to reiterate that point, because touched upon something very funny, because it is even further. It is the Arab world willing to sacrifice Gaza for their own means.
Of course.
Because let's be honest, did they not understand what will be the result of them literally invading Israel? I'm not even going to mention what they've done here. What they've done here could be all. In fact, I'm assuming there are some cartel members in Mexico that are taking notes. It's that bad. We all are pretty aware how bad Mexican cartels are, right? So I'm pretty sure people there are taking notes from what the Gazan done.
I don't think I don't think Muslims take. Well, I don't know. You tell me. But I know there's a slave.
No, I'm saying it's the other way around. I'm saying the infamous people who are scary, the ruthless people, are taking notes from what the Gazans did. The other way around. Now you understand it?
The Mexican some cartels have been creating tunnels for a long time, much longer than.
Don't lose focus on point. I'm just saying, don't lose track of my point here. Again, it's sort of to put a bar on the level of ruthlessness.
No, like I don't understand it, but I understand it on a simple metric of propaganda, and how it's a proxy for an agenda that doesn't exist inside of Gaza itself, but it's being funded from the outside.
Correct. No, in any way, yeah, that was kind of everything I wanted to say. I'm sure Messenger there is dying to talk to you and say his opinion, so I'm going to mute myself and shut up. You guys continue. That was my only point.
You
Go ahead.
said what from a part, you're just saying what I was agreeing with. I'm all for the American rights and constitutions, but I'm also that American that feels we do need to make new amendments to adjust to these times. As great as they are, we need to adjust those.
What amendments? What would you add to the Constitution?
We have the freedom of religion, and But the thing is, Islam is just intolerable. Like Adam and Greg were saying, is, and I grew up just back up to the whole tortoise and the scorpion with the toad story. Like the toad dies, no one wins. So Islam is so intolerable that I'm really do believe this is just an antithesis of everything we believe in. Hearing the other side out, you don't really hear the other side out unless you're planning to do something later, jihad, for your own benefit, right? I could be, well, huh? But yeah, no, Greg, you just said what I was thinking about. Like, wow, yeah. But
Good point, Messenger. Yeah. No, I'm also familiar with the toad example, with the toad analogy. Correct. I would recommend you take care of your mic. It's a little bit muffled and weird. I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of interesting stuff to say, but if you can make it a little bit less muffled, so it will be better. But yeah, go ahead. No, I'm familiar with it the same way, and it makes it so much worse. You understood exactly my point.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's
Hello.
perfect. That is sharp.
Much
Yeah.
better.
Okay. Sorry, I had my earpiece in. It's a little, just a little ghetto earpiece. But yeah, no. What's going on about? If I don't know if you guys heard this, but I'll just repeat it just in case. Islam, to me, is one thing that should not be tolerated by Americans. I know we're like, oh, come on over, help us out. You know, you want to come here? It's good, it's great. But Islam is the one ideology that doesn't want to do that.
Islam almost broke the First Amendment.
You know, like I really, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There is.
The way
I think
Can
the only
I-
amendment
can I
they
tell you one
care about
story?
is the right to bear
You
arms.
guys, can I-
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
May I?
Yeah.
Just one story. I brought it up, I think, before. But here's the thing. You know how this one, I love it because this shows you how Muslim is Hussein Barack Obama. He brought up Thomas Jefferson when he was having a speech to a Muslim crowd, and he said how Thomas Jefferson even had the Quran in his shelf, in his cabinet. And I went, and the reason is like because the Quran, when they were debating the First Amendment, the Quran, the Islam almost broke it. Because they said but what about, they said freedom of religion, but what about Islam? He said, how can we tolerate it? This almost broke the First Amendment. Islam almost broke the First Amendment. It's he had the Quran, but not for the magnificent, not in the magnificent context that Obama tried to portray, but just to say this thing almost broke the First Amendment with how
what are we
bad
going to
it
do
is.
about this?
The thing about the founding fathers in America is they were full of contradictions, right? They were professions. On the face they were Christian, but they believed in conquering, and they believed in taking slaves, and they believed in taking concubines. Thomas Jefferson himself had multiple wives. He had a black slave wife, and he later freed his children, but they were full of contradictions, and we understand they were flawed men, even with history being what it is, and the good they did. We understand that we understood they were flawed men doing the best that they could.
This is why is why they didn't have a. If they weren't flawed, then they would have accepted the Quran and Islam out of the freedom of religion. They would have, but because they're flawed, they didn't do it. I 100% agree. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
I think he had the Quran on his shelf because he wanted multiple wives.
Yeah,
but that's just
you see that if they weren't if they had been not as flawed as they were, they would have understood that yes, you do have to have a special clause for cases like Islam. Indeed, I 100% agree with that assessment.
But yeah, it's really the concept of separation. We have this whole phobia of church and state, separation of church and state, and your God can't rule the people. You can't be some king who rules the people through God. And our first the federal president, not our first president, but our first federal elected president was like such an impressive guy. They wanted to make him king of America, King Washington, but he
Oh yeah.
refused that because it was gonna become a monarchy. And from what I can see, I don't know as much about the Muslim world as most people do in this conversation, but it's this caliphate type stratification of we're it's caliphate is above everything else. There's whatever you show the rest of the world has nothing to do with the rules that happen in the country. Whatever rules you show the UN or NATO that has nothing to do with the de facto law of the country. And
Yep.
that's the scariest thing. That's
Muhammad.
intolerable. It's intolerable in America. You can't have a caliphate in America. It's impossible.
Nope.
And
Yeah.
it's illegal. Like I see in Britain or in parts of the UK, there's this caliphate thing going on where it's small, but it's like, oh, we decide what marriage and divorce is. We decide within the community what marriage and divorce is. The courts don't decide what marriage and divorce is. But I also see I also
Isn't
see
it
the same
what's happening in
similar.
how is it called, the something in Minnesota? Isn't it the same?
Yeah,
They have Sharia
yeah.
law in Minnesota. I've
Dearborn,
heard. Dearborn.
Michigan.
Is it? Oh,
The
it's
difference
Michigan. I'm
And those
sorry. I heard Dearborn,
those
and I know Minnesota. That
Michigan. Like
Minnesota,
those
Minnesota.
cities are.
Yeah, they're
Oh yeah, no, in those very dense Muslim areas or Sharia towns, I like to call them. Yeah, they have the. I'm not sure if it's so bad where the police don't go anymore. I know, like in Australia and sections of the UK, it's like that. The police don't even bother going. Like yeah, or France too, I believe. But yeah, in those towns, it's exactly as it is.
yeah.
Law
So
over everything. Not even. Yeah, it's just terrible.
yeah. It's this sort of it's this and it's anti freedom of speech. It's anti American. It's
right.
it's anti debate. It's like that doesn't match up at all. It's a caliphate. It's a caliphate, and it's only there because you have the majority. And as
Yep.
much as Americans have this sort of built in tolerance for the other, that's something I think all my neighbors would agree that we wouldn't tolerate. Like I have,
No,
you know,
no, my friends and family when I discuss Islam about the other side, because everyone here, oh the peace, the West, peace. The Western watered down version they sell of all the English speakers. I tell them no, like once they get their way, it doesn't matter what you believe or who you are. If you're not Muslim, that's it. I tell them like you gotta be careful. Now, like individual Muslims is different, kind of.
no,
But
I see the same thing in the pockets of Islam in Texas and other places like that
I'm
where
actually surprised out in Texas,
yeah,
they're even
no,
able to do that. But
it
that's
was it was like
speaking.
Adam Seeker says, it's like once they have these pockets of concentration, nothing
Or
else
tolerance.
matters. It's like it's a caliphate. It becomes this caliphate where they protect
Mm.
pedophiles, they protect these people within the church, and they move them from place to place. It's similar to what the Catholic Church
Hmm.
was doing, and what's
Yeah, with their
also
pastors and I'm not
yeah,
pastors and brothers and stuff.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll admit, like I grew up in the pseudo Christian belief of Jehovah's Witness, and they and the research came out
Hmm.
that Jehovah's Witnesses were doing something similar. If there was an incident of pedophilia, or there's some sexual deviancy, they wouldn't defer to God, and then the law of the land. They would defer to God, and they would just move the
Hmm.
problem around, and that's disgusting to me, on a many
Hmm.
level. So that
Slave
type.
owners.
What'd you say?
Slave owners in the South. They had a edited
Hmm.
version of the Bible where they removed all the verses that are against slavery.
You know what? I
You
didn't
didn't.
even know that.
They didn't.
Yep.
Well,
They removed them. They removed parts of the Bible that didn't fit the slavery agenda they had.
narrative. Yeah, that makes sense. Because
That's true. That's true, especially of how more religious
This is why,
people were back
remember when
then.
I
Like the
asked
Bible
Adam,
says,
I said a
what
lot of
Bible's
Jews don't
arguing.
understand. Like, I also said, like, I guess, is that you can pick and choose, right? Like, like, they removed the parts of the Bible that didn't fit their agenda. And they said they were Christian. And Jews can do that as well. Just do it, you know? And it's like, but still, there is a fundamental difference between those who do that. They're not, like, and then Islam and Muslims. Because they, you know, it's not the same. That's the thing that a lot of, at the time at least, like, people didn't understand. Okay, so Islam says stupid stuff, but Judaism also, like, there were rabbis who said a lot of stupid stuff that doesn't even fit the Jewish agenda. So okay, so we don't listen to them. You cannot do it with Islam. It doesn't work that way with Islam. So that's a very important distinction that has to be made.
yeah, Jesus was on the lines of pay back Caesar's things to Caesar and God's things to God. Like if you sin, if you sin and it's a moral sin, a bodily sin against yourself and your relationship with God, you can just approach the church and ask for forgiveness. Fornication, something like that. You sin with your mouth, something like that. But when you create this material sin, you kill somebody, you assault somebody, or you steal something. That enters both worlds, and we don't accept like the church covering criminality like that. It's just not it's disgusting. It's abhorrent. It really
Yeah.
is.
And I'd say that'd be a difference between the Christian communities because I see out of the left, you always say, "Oh, the pastor's a pedo, every Christian's a pedo," and all that. I'm like, yeah, but you see, it's being shamed, it's being condemned as far as it can. Like, no, like you're saying, like, it's disgusting that the churches would even try and hide that stuff. But we compare to Islam, it's accepted. Like gross stuff, like I don't want to bring up the practice of T-boys. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it's accepted, and I've seen specifically with the Afghanis we brought in, where they're getting busted for that shit.
All right,
It's similar to what's going on in the UK with the grooming gangs.
Okay, so that's the thing. All right, can we all agree that those things are illegal in the, for example, the United States, that those things are illegal?
Absolutely.
But you can be American and still do those things?
I'd say that's like a human thing. It's universal.
So that's what's happening everywhere. But it's it's fundamentally different because the values and the laws of America are not allowing that. But let's say in a small village in the United States where people are uneducated, a person that is an American can claim whatever they want about America. Can they not?
Yeah, they can even create their own religion.
Yes,
Yep.
there are cults in America. We have
And
many
people
examples.
tend to confuse
That's one
that.
problem too.
People tend to confuse that with Christianity. People tend to confuse that with Judaism. But you know, but this is the distinction that where you have to make the difference. Where in Islam, it is Islam.
In America, all religions are registered underneath the government. Like it's not like God is underneath the government, but all religions are registered under the government. There are cults obviously that aren't even registered, but yeah, obviously, we can't tolerate.
Islam
we don't
should have
tolerate
not
Islam.
Islam should have not been registered. Like honestly,
Nope.
should have not been.
It should not. It should have been like.
Go ahead.
I'll say my stuff after.
I would have to agree because I see the elders in the Islam faith. They're always advocating for, oh, we need these laws on the books. We need courts for us. Blah 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 blah. And that's contradictory to everything that we represent. We don't have a dualism of law. We don't do that. There's de jure, that's the law of the land, and there's de facto, where how things actually happen. And if we come off, we can't come off as this de facto nation that has laws but doesn't apply them. Even though that many times that's what happens,
Mhm.
but we just can't fall to that. Does that make sense? We have
Yeah.
laws
Yeah.
on the books that we don't honor or enforce, but we can't do that when it comes to human life or people being sexually trafficked,
Nope.
or when it
Never.
comes to
Of
people
course.
being raped, being
But
taken
there are
advantage of
plenty of
by
Americans that would do
Mhm.
that, just the reality
yeah,
of it.
Yeah. Oh
there
yeah.
are pockets of America. There's guys on ranches that have like
Oh,
child wives everywhere, and that has nothing to do with Islam. And we don't even know about them. They're probably kicking around to this day. There's some type of offshoot of Mormonism or Quaker or
Yeah. Whatever
weird, weird,
denominations. Yeah,
weird
those out there
version.
fringe stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely not legal. Definitely not legal,
Nope.
but it's overlooked because it's such a either it's not there's no light shining on it, or the people who are under
Mhm.
that system are uneducated and don't know anything about the world. Same as me, because I grew up in the faith that I didn't have like an exterior viewpoint of. I was born into Jehovah's Witnesses, so I had no idea what it was when I was in it. So that's how a lot of Christians approach other religions. Like, oh, what is Hinduism? I don't know. It's like Christianity. Let's see what we have in common. Oh, they're monotheistic like us. Oh, what about Muslims? Oh, they're monotheistic like us. Okay, let's see what we have in common. Blah 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 blah. Blah. And that's the
Mm.
starting point, right? But it's not like
Mhm.
that at all. It's not like that at all with all religions and with all ideas. But yeah, Islam can, as long as people keep shining a light on it, the monster can't come closer, kind of thing. It's like those angels on Doctor Who, where if you're staring at it, you have your eyes on it, it can't move. But
Mhm.
once you blink, it moves towards you to kill you. I'm not sure if you get the reference though.
okay, you
I,
guys. I'm
I know
gonna
that
pause
episode.
you. I'm gonna pause you. I shared the what? There's something happening, and I wanna check. And also, I shared the link on Discord if there
Mhm.
are more people who want to join. And but let me check. I see that there's some people are writing that there's alleged kidnapping. And yeah, yep, there are. There are is a there are a girl that. Well, okay, it seems like there might be a situation of kidnapping in some area. Oh well. We'll see how it goes. I've said it before. I think the West Bank is heading, marching full on, like 100%, like just going, hitting a wall into turning into Gaza. Like they're not gonna relax until they have this. They're in the same situation as Gaza is. Like they're more supportive of Hamas than the Gazans are now. I think it's kind of like how Americans and like how many in the West support communism way more than anyone who had actually experienced it.
Oh
Kind of the
no.
situation now in the
Yeah,
West
I
Bank.
hate that. I hate that so much.
Yeah, so no. All right, I don't see any. Oh, Steven, did you get yourself out? I don't remember kicking anyone else. I actually don't know how to kick people out. That's why I'm asking you all to remove. Like I am still figuring this place out. But I'm gonna actually. I think I'm gonna wrap it up and go through the super chats. And guys, thank you so much for being here. It's fun talking to
Oh,
you.
thank you for your time, Rebecca.
I'll try to do it once. Oh, okay. Wait. Let me. I wanna. Shekelovich is speaking. Well, asked to speak, so I'm gonna let. I guess it's a girl. See if she or he joins. They
Oh,
join
I'm gonna.
because I promised like a
I'm gonna
next
leave. Thank
batch.
you all for your time. It was
All
a
right.
great conversation.
Thank you for being here.
Mhm. And keep up the good
Hello.
content coming,
Hi.
Thank you, guys.
Rebecca. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm a newbie. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you coming coming here and speaking to everybody. I've seen your channel for a while, but I haven't been able to join your Telegram. So having a Discord's amazing. All I wanted to do was give you a thanks. So
All right. Thank you
that's
so
about it.
much. Thank you. Perfect. All right. So I think with that,
Of
I'm
course.
gonna thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and read the super chats and then let you all go. I hope you had fun. I feel like it's nice to give you the stage from time to time. Oh, here's Shayna is updating. Let me check. Oh, guys, I can just continue this live talking about what's going on. Okay, in the West Bank. There is a major West Bank IDF offensive going to happen in the next week. Okay, it didn't start yet, so I don't need to do anything right now. Okay, good. How do you know that, Shayna? Are you a spy? Oh, all right. I'm gonna go through the super chats. Okay, let me start. Team Karadas, I love your voice, gentle but powerful. Thank you so much. That's very nice of you. Agnostic Indian. Adam Seeker is a famous TV YouTube debate followed by millions of Indian, Pakistani, and Bangladeshi. His YouTube channel is Adam Seeker Urdu. I was so lucky tonight for him to come over. I think it was amazing that he was here as a guest. Very lucky. Amit. Masha Adam Alhamdulillah Adam lah. Alhamdulillah. Oh, I don't want me to read that. Dear Haza, Rebecca Wallahi. Oh, Amit, what are you? Is it? Well, thank you so much, though, for a super chat. Ash McClory, as an Iranian Persian, I say to all my Israeli brothers and sisters, long live Israel. Thank you so much. Don't want to miss anything. Amit, Momo is the greatest common guy of history, a perfect opportunistic predator, and I am glad the great Adam is here educating Rebecca more about Islam. Yes, I was very lucky tonight. I agree with that. Thank you so much. Shirley Lemoyne, thank you for the super chat. Good mix of Discord and chat. Yeah, you guys are having good conversation on the chat as well, I'm seeing. Agnostic Adam Seeker has challenged many Muslim scholars like Zakir Naik. Okay, I cannot understand how Zakir Naik is a scholar. Like, he sounds retarded. No offense. Like, he sounds so stupid. Muftis from India, Pakistan to debate Islam on their channel. Nobody dared to debate with him till date. I mean, he has a brain, so... And the people, like, that people call that Zakir Naik a scholar. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, love Adam, love Sahil, love Rebecca, love India from Israel. What? Love India, love Israel, love Guy who can scam, praise salam. Yeah, thank you so much. All right. Rebecca, you so Semitic pronouncing word Quran so well. Thank you so much. Got to hear it a lot. Adam is agnostic Indian. Thank you. Adam is ocean of knowledge when it comes to Quran, Hadith, and the life of Muhammad. Kindly follow his YouTube channel, Adam Seeker Urdu. I want Adam to come here all the time, like you guys. You guys like him and therefore support me, and I appreciate that. A donkey can't... I cannot read your name, I'm sorry. A donkey can't fly, so go back to your desert for good. Medina was a Jewish city and returned to that Jew before crying Palestine and Narnia. Yep. Well, we can all be... I mean... Richata, thanks. Very good. Stay strong. Trying. He doesn't comprehend as he hopes for 72 virgins. I kind of lost the context, but thank you for the super chat. Ayatollah Khamenei, thank you for the generous super chat. America has such an open-mindedness because it was founded by outcasts, weird Protestant like the Pilgrims, that coupled with the Enlightenment values and free market ideology will get slop-like wokeness. I'm so confused about the construction of this. sentence, but but all right. Thank you though. Darth Orange, welcome the new membership. At Al Khamenei, the reason Southern Baptists exist was they split off from regular Baptists during the Civil War to defend the holy institution of slavery. Indeed, you cannot argue with that. This is a very holy thing to have. Ay, incredible. Oh. Shayna had updated me that it's Channel 14 that had informed us that Israel, the IDF is preparing to carry out a large-scale military operation in the West Bank due to the increasing threat and operation. Well, let's hope they get the cleaning done properly. Jax, thank you, Rebecca, and thank you everyone for joining and participating. Yes, thank you everybody. Thank you all for being here. And I think that's it. Are there any? Oh yeah. I have a Patreon, I have a Buy Me Coffee, and also you guys, so I have memberships now, and I want to have discussions, member only discussions and things like that. So both the Buy Me Coffee membership and the Patreon membership have links to different roles on Discord. So with that you have different benefits, and it really could really support me. So I would love to see you all join there. And I'm excited. I feel like once I start that going, I'll be like a real proper YouTuber, you guys. And I think, let me see, do I have any more? No, that's it. Thank you all for being here. Also, share the videos that you love with your friends. Let's get this message going, right? Let's not. I actually made a video about like why I speak up. Like the don't be the kind of person like the way I felt, where I didn't fight in time, and having an event like a mass like the 7th of October does make you reflect on your choices. So please learn from my mistake and spread the message. Just spread it. It makes a difference. It makes a real difference. I really believe so. All right, y'all. Thank you everybody for being here. Good night.